Good morning, evening, afternoon. Moss here. Hope you are fantastic, like we all are here. A lot of great things happening. Happy Memorial Day here in the U.S. I don't know if the rest of the world actually, I don't think the rest of the world celebrates Memorial Day. Um, anyway, we are here today. We're talking about our one of our favorite subjects here, navigating the extremes of maternal perceptions. Is she an angel? Is she an angel, a bitch, or just misunderstood? Right. So in this case, in this time, what we're going to do is go into impact sessions where actually scan individuals and see where they are, see how their mothers affected them, and and then help them, not only just help them, but then help their moms as well. And then also help their generational patterns. And I'll explain the details as we go along. It's really quite exciting now. If you're listening in, your participants, even if you're listening on a recording, the frequencies that I generate are quite powerful. So they'll help you transform uh, uh, almost as well as listening to the live, but they'll help you transform. And these aren't transformations of the mind. The mind is very limited. You can only do so much with the mind, but the concepts of who you are, the foundation of who you are before your mind was even around, that's what we're changing. I would call it your frequency blueprint, which trumps your genetic blueprint, by the way. I can talk about the science some other time. That's actually on the XI code. So if you go to the XI code, and please, by the way, subscribe to the XI code. It's a new channel of mine. I get into the science on how exponential intelligence science actually works. Okay. Again, that's the XI code, a new channel, and that's where we'll be coming up with a new podcast as well. We've got a great lineup of podcasts coming up, a lot of great interviews on psychedelics and how to accelerate altered states so you can be your best possible self. The name of the podcast is From Good to Great to Limitless. Right? All right. So just a couple things here today. What's happening is in the world, what's happening is, well, a lot of things are going a little bit crazy, right? You might notice that your friends, the world, what's happening in the news, right? More and more stuff is coming out, more and more of those lies that we always probably knew deep down inside, they're actually manifesting themselves. Okay. So, and as these things manifest themselves, well, you want to make sure that is it your filter that you think is true or not? Because that's really the key. Now, many of you who are XIers who've gone through the process, you start to awaken, you start to become exponentially intelligent, and then you start to look back and it's like, shit, you know what? What I thought about a couple months ago, a year ago, 20 years ago, however long, it's like, shit, I was running a filter. And that's why I was seeing what I was seeing. So it's really not green. It's actually you see the actual color of what how you're seeing life. So the key is as you go through the process of becoming exponentially intelligent, or and even if you're not, even if you're new, or as the world transforms, the universal frequencies like shift you. They're forcing to shift you. Okay, you have no choice. You have no free will. Again, we can talk about free will some other time. This is back into navigating the extremes of maternal perceptions. as you start to transform yourself, okay, what'll happen is that you will start to see things very, very differently. Simple as that. And as you start to see things very differently, you'll go back to a time, again, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, in your childhood, and you go, oh, you know what? The perception, the understanding of what I was seeing back then is very, very different. In this case, you get to see if your mother was truly an angel, a bitch, or just misunderstood, right? You get to understand it's like, oh, that's why mom was the way she was. And then once you understand that concept, one, you get to release it for yourself. You go, oh, okay, I don't need to run that pattern, especially if you're a woman, learning how a woman should be from your mother. You start to release that. It's like, gosh, you know what? Now I understand why mom did what she did. Okay. Whether it was right or wrong, it doesn't really matter. Whether she abused you or not abused you, again, that's not the point. The point is that the patterns that she's running, the patterns that you're running, the visuals or the filters that you're running to experience life here. And it's not just a mental state, guys. It's not just like, oh, I get it. It literally is how you create yourself. For example, if you've been abused, your mom abused you, chances are your spouse will abuse you, your friends will abuse you, money will abuse you, God will abuse you. Do you see the patterns that are running? Right? It's very important today that as this universe say cleans up or clears up, what'll happen is that please do not go observe how you observe things, right? Observe what you're going through the process. Now, you might think that, whatever that you're experiencing or oh, and this is another thing, if your abilities are coming through, becoming exponentially intelligent, your abilities naturally ascend. This is great for business people or healers or basically anybody. You're just more in tune. You sense the world around you easier, faster. All right. As your abilities come up, and if you have these filters will distort your abilities. And then you'll start to see things in people that aren't real. You'll start to assume things in people that aren't real. You'll start to be psychic. And this is why I don't say I'm psychic. Okay, psychics, basically what they do, and again, there's a lot of good ones out there, there's a lot of bad ones out there. Psychics basically extrapolate the patterns that you're running now and then extrapolate it into the future. Very similar to Einstein's, where an object is in motion, it tends to stay in that direction. Same thing, that's what psychics, they just extrapolate forward. So if you're running that pattern today, most likely tomorrow, the next day, you'll do the same thing. That's what psychics do. That's what algorithms, that's what AI does. And that's why AI can become dangerous. Again, another subject that we'll be talking about. So in the exponential intelligence world, what you start to see is like, shit, you know what? I'm running this pattern. I don't want to go this direction anymore. And this is where you start to change. This is where you dramatically go into another path. So when these patterns start to come up for you, right? Especially if you're exponentially intelligent, please notice the patterns, especially if you're on that verge of going into that next level. Now, been a lot of individuals, there's been a lot of chaos around the world. There's even chaos in the XI family and so on like that. Again, it's the reason why. It's got nothing to do with facts, by the way, right? Facts are on the moon. All you have to do and all you have to see is understand the patterns. And if these patterns go from one subject to another, to another, to another, then it's a pattern that you're running. It's not the facts or the situation that's in hand. Okay. So start to understand your patterns, not the experience that you're running through. And then you'll get a good handle on how you are operating or creating the life that you live. And once you do that, you become an observer of self. So you become non-judgmental. Okay? That's the key. That's how you become non-judgmental, by the way. Right? Becoming an observer, having no stake in the issue. Okay. Take a deep breath in. We'll start to get into this experiential session here. Again, as I work on these fantastic individuals that are coming up, I'll be working on you as well. All right. So take a deep breath in and again, comment in if that's what you're experiencing. You're starting to see one of the best ways is that if you're new in on the XI community, you'll start to see patterns on people. It's like, gosh, now I'm seeing why they are doing what they're doing. Okay, so what you can do there is like going, okay, if I'm seeing those patterns in them, am I running a similar pattern, a reflective pattern, or a complementary pattern to them? Because most often you're either running a reflective pattern or a complementary pattern. So be aware of that. Again, you don't want to be running any pattern, right? The only pattern that you want to be running is a frequency that says, how do I become my best possible version each and every moment? Right? That way you're not stuck in a rut. That way you're not stuck in time frames. Okay. All right. All right, so let's take a deep breath in. This is another thing, by the way. As you ascend higher, this is a great opportunity for those individuals who are becoming exponentially intelligent. You have a great, fantastic opportunity to let go of your old identity of who you are. It's scary stuff, guys. I've gone through it several, gosh, I've gone through it a hell of a lot. Every level, every major level. So there are levels within each level, and you can see that each level that you get to an ending point, there's more tension in you. Sometimes there's more, say, anxiety. On the flip side, you become more freer and freer, and then you feel the heaviness, and then you start to break through, right? You start to break through, and then from there, what you'll experience again is a calm or a very or a distortion as you try to say level yourself. Some people who I don't know, my light just went out. Some people, as they go through the process, again, as they become anxious because they didn't stabilize themselves through spatial referencing, again, they didn't stabilize themselves through spatial referencing, and this is what we teach in the human upgrade. That's coming up live, by the way. I think June 5th, the team can put that up. June 5th, guys, it's going to be an awesome opportunity to understand spatial referencing, especially if you're new. It's much faster than goal setting. It's much faster than what Tony Robbins, Joe Dispenza, any of those great individuals, Mind Valley, any of those individuals do. It complements them. It's a compliment. Again, I'm not saying it's better. Well, actually, it is better. But the key is that it whatever that you do, whatever motivation that you do, it enhances you much faster. Okay. So again, it's a very different level. Whatever that you've done in the past, XI is very different. All right. So went out again, Feve. I don't know what the plug is. There you go. No, that's good now. Just leave it. Okay. Uh, Pepe is here, adjusting the lights. Thanks, sweetie. All right. So the key is back to what I was saying. All right. As you go to this higher level of understanding of who you are, okay, you want to be sure that you release the patterns that are releasing for you. A lot of times, what happens is that you start to release the patterns, and these patterns are literally deep level identities of who you are, and that's why it's so hard. Right? These are ancient patterns that have been in you for a long time. These are human patterns. These are like how you identify yourself as human. And how many of you have gone through this? It's like, Moss, I don't feel human anymore. Okay. So that's the pattern that I'm talking about. And again, comment in. When you start to when you start to when you start to not feel human anymore, it's a good thing. Okay. Because right now, what humans are running or what humanity is, it's not the full or it's not the complete version of being human. Simple as that. Okay. So as you start to evolve into what humans should resonate at, this is where you go, gosh, I don't feel like human anymore. And then some people, because they don't feel human anymore, they start to destabilize themselves. And as they destabilize, because there's no reference points anymore, they can't go by their abuse patterns or their religions or anything like that. They just can't. What they'll do is like they'll start to go back to their old patterns. You don't want to go back to your old patterns, right? I don't know. I can't emphasize this enough. Some of you, again, will go crazy. There's been clients who've been distorted. They're unstable. When you're in that unstable moment, it's a great opportunity for you to go, shit, I need to let go of where I am. Wow, it's so beautiful here to get this beautiful, wow, deer family. They're joining in as well. They're just walking through my yard here. Quite beautiful. Quite amazing, right? Beautiful, majestic animals. All right. So Adriana, yes, I don't feel human. Absolutely. Feeling the frequencies amping up. So detoxing like a death space lately. So those are the things that I'm talking about. You don't feel human. It's good, right? Nurture that feeling and ask yourself, it's like what humans should be like, right? Do humans abuse no other family, by the way, or no other species abuses each other just like humans. Right? Like they say, they eat their young. You know, the way humans eat their young, it's crazy. The way they distort, the way they destroy each other. Right? No other species does that. That's not human, by the way. Right? It's not a good version of human that you want to being a woman, being a man, being anything in between. Again, that's not the best version of who you are. Right? There's a better version out there for you, and that's what XI is about. So as you go through that unstable moment, you're stepping from a weak space into a more solid ground, right? It'll feel distorted for you. It's like having ship legs, right? If you've been on a ship for a while, you know, on a boat for a while, right, a long time, you get back on solid ground, right? You feel unstable. So basically, that's what you're going through. Simple as that, right? Again, be mindful. The ground is not moving. You are. Where you are is as stable as you've ever been. Right? I can guarantee it. Again, hundreds of thousands of client sessions. I've seen it enough times. Right. All right. Here's Rob. Life is awesome, by the way. It is, isn't it? As you get into that space. The Buddha meditation we did a few nights ago was amazing. Yep. So Buddha stepping into a whole reality. He sees this world very, very different, by the way. Right? And that's what we're doing a couple days ago. So, all right, let's get into the sessions here. Again, lovely people. Some of them are ex-hires, some of them might be new. I'm not exactly sure, but I'll just scan them. But the key is that as you're listening in, I'll be not scanning you as well. But if you resonate with the same frequency as these lovely individuals, especially, okay, I'll be helping you as well transform and shift. So comment in on how you're feeling as we work on individuals, and also let's cheer these lovely individuals on by commenting in on how they're transforming right in front of your eyes, especially for those whose abilities are coming up. You'll start to see. So again, a couple things. One, if you're resonating with the frequency as these great individuals, and as I help transform their frequency blueprint, you'll transform as well. And then on top of that, if you are an X-hire and you don't resonate with them or you're complimentary, you can still learn something, but you get to see what I'm seeing. So you get to look over my shoulders and go, oh, that's why Moss is seeing what they're seeing. Right? And it's not in their faces or, I don't read tea leaves or anything like that, by the way. It's a frequency scanner. And we all are frequencies, and that's what we're getting into is understanding frequencies, right? All right. So take a breath in and notice your sternum bone here. Nice comment, Michael. All right. We'll go to Ohana. Uh,
Oh, Yana,
Oyana. Hey, honey, how are you?
very good. You
Good. I'm really good. You were in Belize, right?
in Ibiza.
In Ibiza,
I'm
not Belize.
yoga
Yeah,
there.
Ibiza. Yeah. You did. God, you did yoga. You were the yoga teacher for the events, and hopefully we'll have
Yeah,
another out there as well. Loved it. It's nice to see you again. So,
yeah, good to see you.
anything special that you want to work on, hon? And again, this theme is about your mom.
Okay, I thought it was about embracing my feminine power.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. And you have a daughter as well. Yeah.
No,
Okay. Why do I see a daughter around you? Take a breath in. Oh, that daughter is you, actually. Okay. So you're embracing your feminine powers, you're coming into your femininity. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, you've changed quite a bit. In the past, you were more of an insecure female, if that makes sense to you. Yeah. So take a breath in. So in this case, um, uh, what happened to you when you were 10 or 11? Um, Something to do with your mom. Um, so when you were 10 or 11, what I'm seeing you on is that 10 or 11-year-old kind of froze in time. So that 10 or 11-year-old is still within you. And if you think about it, hon, when when you freeze in time and you grow, what happens is that you nurture or you protect that 10 or 11-year-old. So in relationships, you feel like a young woman. Does that make sense? Like a 10 or 12-year-old. Let's just put, does that make sense to you or no?
Can you clarify it more?
Sure. So, okay. So, and again, I go really deep. Okay. So take a breath in, hon. Um, Notice your shoulders. All right. So when you get into relationships, you start to get insecure about yourself.
Yes. Yes, that happened in the past.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's good. So that's happened in the past. Yes. So now it's not okay. So okay, you used to. Thank you for clarifying that for me. So you used to get say insecure about yourself. So what
Yes.
happened is as you got insecure, you became more and more like a younger person, like a younger girl.
Yes.
Does that make
Yes.
sense to you? When you okay. So in relationships, especially intimate relationships, but as you become more and more successful, honey, what'll happen for you is that you'll go back and feel like a young girl again. And this is where you destabilize yourself or become insecure more and more. So the more you have, the more success you have, the more love you have, and everything, the more you become unstable. Does that make sense to you? Okay.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So the more you fall in love, for example, like you go from, gosh, I have feelings for this person to going, gosh, I really love this person. There's a lot of insecurity that shows up and you become really young.
Yeah.
You become like a,
Totally.
you become like a 10, 12-year-old girl. And then this is where, well, your relationship gets messed up.
Yeah.
Then
It
it's
used
like,
to be like that.
yeah. So take a breath in, hunt. Notice your groin area. And um, intimacy and so on like that. As you fall in love with somebody, the intimacy part kind of degrades or derails. It doesn't feel, say, as euphoric or as it should. Does that make sense to you as well? Intimacy,
Maybe.
okay.
Yeah.
Or um, I don't want to get too personal, but basically what happens is for the guy, he feels like he's making love to a very young girl.
Okay.
And it doesn't feel that great. And then this is where, okay, you're basically as you get into, say, your relationship, the intimacy part, say, starts to fade away more, or is there issues? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Usually, like the relationships were ending shortly. So because I was like, yeah, just becoming very insecure and kind of going out of myself. So I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
So they were finishing.
Yep. That's what I'm talking about. So take a breath in, huh? So the reason for that, honey, is that when you get into that aspect where you have a chance to learn about who you are and heal your past, right? You start to destabilize. That's what I was talking about earlier, guys. Again,
Yeah.
in this case, it's about healing that younger version of who you are, right? Take a breath in. So can we heal that younger child of who you are? That way,
Yes.
you're a beautiful woman. That way, you can come into your womanhood. And that's what you're
Yes.
experiencing. You're stepping into your womanhood. To do that, you have to clean or heal that younger child, and the two of you can merge together. Okay. So we'll just do something really quick. I know it's going to take a little overtime, but this is very, very important for a lot of you. So let's go ahead, close your eyes, take a deep breath in. All of you can do that. All right. Imagine your current age, right? And then imagine for you, for example, sweetie, like a 10 or 12-year-old, right? Now go back to a version, the rest of you, of what feels right for you, that younger child. Notice what age pops up. Okay. So Oyan, what age popped up? Huh?
Like around 10.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's not a hypnosis. Something happened with your mom where she got destabilized. Right? And this is where you started to say separate your identity from your mom, but you couldn't. Again, because it's a frequency. It's literally genetics. Breath in again. So go back to that 10-year-old. Okay, now there's two people. Okay, go back to that 10-year-old self of yours, and then talk to that young 10-year-old, or ask that 10-year-old a question like, "Hey, why did you separate? Why did you freeze in time?" And notice what they say. And you can share it with us, or you
Oh,
can't.
yes.
You don't want to.
Yeah,
What?
yes. She's just very afraid. She's like crying and she's just very afraid.
Yep. So you're afraid to go forward in life, and that's insecurity is in your cells now. Okay. There's a piece of you that's always missing. By the way, the more intimate you get with somebody, the more connected you know who you are, the more empty that you feel, if that makes sense for you. Or you want to know more about yourself. That's why, again, you're healing that younger child. Breath in again. This isn't psychology. This is actually bringing frequencies or dimensions of self back to yourself. Again, your 10-year-old is out here. You're way over here. Breath in again. So now you're connected. So what would you say to that 10-year-old?
I would just hug her for a really long time.
Okay. So can you imagine her just merging into you where there's just a oneness? When you love somebody so much, like my kids, I love them so much. I used to just hug them and I just, I just wanted to embrace them and be one with them.
Yeah.
Okay. So how accurate is that is that for you? And is it can you feel that oneness? Look at your face. You just glow like a beautiful woman. And that's where that sensuality comes through. That's where knowing yourself comes through. That's where protection comes through. This is where security comes through. This is where, again, finances, whatever that women are looking for in security or in another person is actually all within you, ladies. Talk about that on the XI Women. All right. So can we just lock you in real quick?
Yes, perfect.
The breath in and notice your lower half. I have to move on because of time, but how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Could you just check my hormones for a
Well,
second?
okay. Yes. So again, I can't guarantee anything, honey, but what happens is that your hormones, one, will become more youthful for you. Okay. So whatever age you are, again, it'll become more youthful for you. Plus, your hormones are off because your brain or your identity goes, well, I'm a 10-year-old. No, wait, I'm a grown woman. I'm a 10-year-old. So your hormones become off. So as you become one, then what will happen for you, hon, is that your hormones will become more stable. And sometimes you might need some, I would take some natural supplements or whatever, but I don't think you need to really. It was just a little off balance frequency wise. And this is where you'll come back into your natural self of who you are. Okay. Can't guarantee it, but your hormones will readjust to your new identity of who you are. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome, Tony. Again, doesn't she look vibrant, guys? She just looks so happy and like super youthful and vibrant, very attractive for men, but then also very, say, elegant as a woman, wise woman. We'll go to Natalia. Isn't that what we want though, ladies? Right? That's what we want, right? The sensuality without all the distortion and abuse that comes with it. Natalia,
Hi.
hey, hon, how are you?
Sunday to everyone. Glad to be here. It's been a while, almost since I saw you, probably a year. So, the topic is mother,
Okay.
and just had a with my family. It's been years, like I've done a lot of work to, what comes to my mom, patterns, and so on. Like so much work with acceptance, which changes, in her, in me,
Mhm.
and at some point I felt that like I accepted her for who she is, I really truly
Yep.
understand. But since my ability opened up, over the years, I also start seeing people, when they lie, when they manipulate, when they jump in from one reality to another. So I see all these things in her.
Yep.
And it's hard for me to have a communications with her.
Mhm.
And like it's almost like I miss that love and feeling that I used to have for my grandma, who was like my mom before she passed away, and my dog, who passed away last year after 17 years. So it's almost like I miss that, little love inside, and I can't find how to have it towards her because it's like blockage, like when I speak to her, it's like, what if she's gonna manipulate me or, lie to me again? It's like almost like she can't laugh and she can't give love. And or maybe it's just me from her.
Absolutely. Take a breath in, huh? So I love what you said, honey. I love that you are reading people now, which is really great. It seems like you said you took a break from XI, right? Uh,
I
yeah,
just trans-
which is perfect.
Mhm.
And that's what any training should be. Back in the day when you were a shaman or learning to be, shaman or understanding who you are, like a Jesus Buddha, they always, what did they do? They always stepped out, isolated, moved away from, say, any reference points, any support groups or anything like that. Stand alone. That's what XI is about. When you can stand alone and really be solid, that's what the journey is about, and that's what I teach you here in XI. So really nice job, hon. You've come back really strong. This is where your abilities have come in really strong. You see people. You get to see that they're in altered dimensions, if that makes sense for you, because that's how you see people, right? You might like see somebody, and then you might see like, oh my gosh, they're kind of separated, or they're all over the place. Does that make sense for you? Your abilities?
Yes,
I
it
don't know how
makes
to explain it.
also like wanted to ask you because lately it like five things in me, and I jump from one to another, but it's also like I'm learning right now how to kind of manage it as well. If I can say that, it's a little bit hard because sometimes I feel like I'm losing my mind.
Yep.
But thanks like to Xi learning how to come back to present moment, like grateful forever, because this is what reminds me how to keep myself here.
This is where spatial referencing comes in. And again, we teach this in the human upgrade. Take a deep breath in, hon. You've done a great job with exponential intelligence or becoming exponentially intelligent. What you've done, hon, is that literally you were, I hate to say it, you were your mom. Right? You're running the same patterns, a little different. Again, you might, people go, well, no, she was really religious. I wasn't religious, or you might go, well, she was really wealthy. I was not wealthy, or vice versa. I'm not talking about the physicalness. I'm talking about the underlying pattern or the bottom line. Both get the same results. You're all over the place. Does that make sense to you? In relationships and stuff like that. So notice, so that's what's happening for you. You're starting to see from a separate version of who you are, how similar you are from your mom. Okay. Does that make sense to you? Okay. Your grandma was a stabilizer. She actually was more masculine. Okay. So what she did was she probably went through a lot of strife. So she hunkered down and lost her femininity, so to speak, and became more logical. She had to take care of a lot of people from what I'm seeing,
Yeah,
right?
she was children, yeah, so she was raising us mostly and stuff like that.
Yeah, so she raised the family more like a man. Now you could do that as a woman, but again, your grandma chose to again because there's not a lot of great role models. Again, she had to harden herself as a woman to raise that family. Okay, so this is where you started to separate on around 14, 15 years of age from what I'm seeing for you. You started to go, gosh, you know what? I'm turning into a young adult. I don't want to be all over the place like my mom. And this,
Mm-hmm.
did you leave home or did you separate somehow or what happened? I could be off by the years or something, but
And a half. That's when I moved in with my boyfriend that time. So I left home.
got it. Perfect. Okay, so you separated because of what we just said. Breath in, notice your spine, honey, and right into um, your ovaries.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we'll just talk about that in just a second. So in this case, where you are right now, and that why this session is that you've moved. Okay, let me finish. I'm doing so many things here.
Thank you.
Again, linear. You're welcome. There's so many things in you, honey, that you want to change because you're so ready to change. So I'm doing a lot of things for you, and I'll explain all that I'm helping you with. Okay. Again, I'm just helping you edit your frequencies. You will experience the changes. So there's still work on your part, by the way. All right. So 14, 15, healing that aspect of yourself. Again, you understood that it's like, gosh, you know what? It's not safe to be a woman the way my mom is. I'm going to go towards my grandma. But then your grandma runs a masculine pattern. Again, quite beautiful, but you have this masculine pattern in you. Okay. So
Sure.
now you're a version of your grandma who's a little masculine, and then your mom who's all over the place. So okay. So and then what you do is you use more masculinity to hunker down and like pull yourself into one like space, literally disciplining yourself. People like you, they get into like say they're addicted to things, and you might not be. You almost have this addictive personality, by the way. But you would go, okay, I'm going to start working out now, and then you get addicted to working out, that kind of scenario, or you get really, 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 really into whatever that you're doing. Does that make sense for you?
Yes,
Um,
most. That's what I do. I get in and kept can lose track of time.
yep, and then you find yourself in a hole. Take a breath in. Okay. All right. So, a couple things here. What we're doing is, again, removing that identity that you saw as a 14, 15-year-old, but you couldn't figure out how to disconnect. You try to disconnect physically. People try to disconnect mentally. People try to, again, move away. People try to do the opposite of their things. Again, those are all physical things. We're talking about frequencies here. So what we did here right now for you actually is separate who you were or the pattern that you wanted to disconnect from at 15, 14, 15 years old. Okay. How are you feeling right now? Notice your, again, lower back, your ovaries. All right.
Shake inside. Mm-hmm.
So, and audience, if you can comment in on how she looks, does she look more feminine to you, by the way? It's like she's really here. And again, you've got a beautiful smile. Now it feels like a woman. Right. Right. So take a deep breath in. So the other aspect of you, again, you're all over the place, and that's what you're seeing, and that's what I was talking about earlier. If you're all over the place and you're seeing other people all over the place, observe is like, am I running a reflective pattern of that, or am I running a complementary pattern? So again, if other people are all over the place, you would run the complementary pattern of being a solid person. This is where empathic individuals are. People are all over the place. You will attract, if you're solid, you'll attract people who anchor onto you and burden the hell out of you. So you kind of do both, by the way. So take a breath in again. All right, let's move that out for you, disconnect. And then this is where, how old are you, hon?
41.
41. Okay. You're getting into like menopausal frequencies. I'm not a doctor, I'm just telling you what I see. But now with XI, you actually have an opportunity to say pull yourself back and relive what being a woman should actually be like. So
It's
this
almost
is
question about, because I don't have children and I never had the feeling kind of. I knew somewhere that I will have one, but I was
Mhm.
wondering lately why I don't have that feeling inside me that I want to have a baby, like all normal, not normal, but
Yeah,
when you don't know what normal these days.
of course. Yeah. I don't, do you have kids?
No.
Yeah, I don't think, again, not a doctor or anything like that, but that area is kind of shut down. To me, it just feels like you would have a hard time having kids.
I
So
see.
that's why. So anyway, what'll happen for you again, especially if you continue on, with the XI journey now that you're here, what'll happen for you, hon, is that you'll start to revamp your body. And this is where you go, shit, I don't have to age like my mom or grandma did. This is where you start to again, um, you'll start to see even your father. It's like, gosh, my father was this. I don't need to be that way. So you get very, very picky. And by the way, you don't have to worry about being all over the place. I centered you, and you'll see how centered you are. How do you feel as we end?
Yeah, I do feel like a little dizziness inside, when I usually programs changing in me, in my body. So and centered, like you said.
Yeah, and you'll stay this way because you're really, really ready.
I really, really need it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So go have fun. Identify yourself as one person, not all over the place like your mom, and this will actually help your mom as well. Okay.
Thank
So in this case, again, so we'll move on to Cynthia, okay, just because of time. But are you doing okay, Natalia? You're so welcome, Tony. Very nice. So, as a whole, guys, as we move on to Cynthia, just notice, like in this case, her mom, basically misunderstood. Really, like mom's all over the place. I don't want to be like that. Again, she might have been nice. She might have not been nice. And then you want to change, but then unfortunately you're carrying the same old patterns with you. So you leave that baggage behind. It allows her to again disconnect. It allows her mom to disconnect. She has that relationship. So it's a nice place to again reestablish that. All right, we'll go to Cynthia. Hey, Cynthia, how are you, hon?
Hi, hi. Can you hear
Hey,
me all right?
I do. How old are you? Can I ask?
Oh God.
You
Yeah,
don't have to tell me,
it's
but
bad. Um, I told my kids I'm gonna start lying about my age and say I'm 47.
okay.
It's much
But higher than that? Okay. So above 47. Take a breath in. What I love about you, Cynthia, though, is that you've got such playfulness in you. You feel like a 20-year-old to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, like a 20.
It's all the good XI.
Yeah, you feel like a 23-year-old. So actually,
Thank
and-
you. That's
yeah.
huge.
So sometimes, which is really, really good. I mean, you look younger than, your age and all that. You look that vibrant, that beautifully vibrant individual. Take a breath in, honey. So what's happened, back in the day, and this is how XI rectifies things for you. Back in the day, hon, what happened to you at 23? It's literally, it's kind of like, Oihana there that you,
Oh,
um,
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 not that long ago. Uh,
yeah.
right. I was doing some counseling because one of my children came forward, said he was abused by his father. And
Okay.
it brought up all kinds of stuff for me because I was abused by my father, right? So yeah, great. And I'm washing the dishes, and all of a sudden I remember
Hmm.
um, I was training in the martial arts, and we were out, we were drinking,
Hmm.
and basically the person who was my coach, I think he drugged me and raped me, but that was me remembering it, and that was really awful.
Yeah.
To remember it nearly 30 years later, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So, and I purchased because you have a sexual trauma, sexual healing. I purchased it online after that and listened to it a lot, but that was tough. Yeah. So is that still there then? That's still active?
Well, what I'm seeing for you, and this is where you know that sexual trauma actually worked for you, hon, is that you've separated yourself from that identity. So you're not, you know, this is the huge difference. You know, mentally, people do use NLP or other self-improvement, you know, trying to get over trauma and so on like that. Even like psychedelics. What's that psychedelic, that frog thing that gets rid of you know, trauma. Again, it works, but it leaves a residue, by the way. Okay. That's why we're going to do a psychedelic course, by the way. Take a breath in, huh? All right. So Cynthia, so what you've done with XI, which is really, really beautiful, and this will help with your kids as well. Okay. How many kids do you have? Three? I'm
Four.
seeing four? Oh,
Yeah.
one, two, three. Why do I see three?
Well, twins. So 3 pregnancies.
Oh, three pregnancies. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
That's why I see three. Okay. Well, let's work on the twins as well, so they separate in a good way. Okay,
In a
huh?
good way. Yeah.
Yeah, because you say that something happens to one twin, another thing happens, the same thing happens or similar to the other.
What's very interesting about the twins is
Mhm.
obviously they spend a lot of time trying to identify as separate people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, one is incredibly sensitive, like more like me.
Yes.
Yeah. And the other is very down to earth. I can't even say that word now. Sorry.
Proactive. Yeah, absolutely. Take a breath in, honey. So let me explain that real quick. And we're doing a lot of things. Outside of, you know, what I speak verbally for you. For the twins, sweetie, what happens is literally one is, think of it as a voodoo doll. Again, you're not cursed, possessed, or anything like that. So,
Good, good.
yeah, I'm just using the voodoo doll. So they stick pins in the doll, and then the person feels it. Okay. So
Yeah.
basically, one twin is the doll, the other twin feels it. That's the deal. So the one
Really?
that is very, very hypersensitive, that
Yeah.
would be all the one that is proactive and like I see them like fighting back all the time or pushing
Yes.
against.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I don't want those frequencies, and they're always fighting to be them.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, he resists everything. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. That's the reason why. And it's a great reason. Okay. It's a great reason, but at an underlying, they're not getting to the underlying frequency on why they always have to fight back or distinguish who they are. But that's why they're connected. So again, let's separate the two. I think that's why I brought them in, because he's just like shit. It's like your kids came in and it's like, hey, can I work? You all are really a cute family, by the way. You're very connected, but let's make it better. Okay, without the distortion, because you guys got together because of pain.
I-
So you
They're
would
my
have to,
wolves. Yeah. They're my teachers.
yep, you would have to perpetuate pain to stay together, because that's the way that pattern dig.
Oh,
Get it? There's
that's
always
sad.
something
That's so sad.
happening. I know, exactly. But then you get together closer with pain. But then there's a point, again, where kids go, shit, I don't want any pain anymore. And this is where it's a loving family. And then as they get older, they start to, you know, trash their mom, their dad, and they might trash you. And they go, shit, you know, she was really nice, but for some reason, I don't want to be around, I don't want to be around my mom anymore, because they want to move away from that pattern. And then they recreate that. So can we just disconnect all that for you?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm down. That's
Okay.
good.
Now, some of you a lot of you XRs will understand that pattern, see how it perpetuates. That's what I'm talking about. Understanding the patterns. Cynthia didn't get that. She didn't just create that pattern. She picked it up. Your grandfather was very abusive. What?
Which one?
Is he there a grandfather or a great grandfather? I can't quite tell.
George?
Um,
Oh, Robert Balgi was a really lovely man.
okay.
That's my mother's father. I think her mother was very abusive.
Yeah. I
And my
can't
dad,
tell.
he
Because
was just
I'm not a
bad.
you know? Yeah, but they were just very abusive. Oh, they were very politically correct in front of a lot of people. So who
Right.
person is loved by the public and all that stuff. They get home, they get very abusive.
Yeah,
Whoever that one is, does that make sense to you? Whichever the
yes,
one?
yeah,
Okay. So that one. So anyway, that pattern keeps running on. Unfortunately, you see at 22, 23, what you've done with XI, getting back to that, because we haven't forgot, is that you separated yourself from it, from that identity or that pattern of abuse, which is really great job. But can we just delete that since you're not using it anymore?
delete
Oh,
it,
okay.
delete
And,
it, please.
and this will help your daughters as well. Okay. Take a breath in, and then well, also help your son not get because your son's running this pattern would actually get dominant females who are men.
Yes,
Got it?
yes,
So do
that
you
makes
see how
sense.
all those patterns? So you delete that one pattern and it works really well for you. Breath in again, on. Groovy Butterflies talking about spatial referencing. Yeah, spatial referencing is really beneficial for you, hon. Because what'll happen for you, and this is what happened for you, it's like 30 years later, you actually start to separate that experience, like you said, right, that you were abused. And unfortunately, from what I'm seeing, you're accurate. It actually did happen, but basically you shut off or you turned yourself off, so you didn't feel it at a conscious level. So mental record isn't there, frequency
Right,
record still there for you.
right. Because that was so weird for me
Yep.
because I have a really good memory. I mean, I'll ask my kids, you don't remember that when you were 4, and you don't remember that because I
Yeah.
remember stuff
Mhm.
really far back, and I don't know if that's just a trick of, how
Nope.
you were saying about being psychic, because I get a lot of visions
Yep.
and sensitivity, so I don't know if it's a trick of the mind.
Take a breath in, hon. All right. So in this case, what we're doing, hon, is disconnecting you, okay, from that pattern that happened, that physically happened at 23. So again, you created a separate version of yourself. That's why memories come back with XI, right? Sometimes they come back again. It's for you to disconnect from them, not entangle yourself in them. Breath in again. So what we're doing here, is one, disconnecting you from all the old patterns that isn't you anymore. Okay. Bringing back the youthfulness and vibrancy of who you are that you've always wanted to enjoy and experience that got taken away from you at 23. You'll actually feel like a 23-year-old at times. Okay. Enjoy it. Okay. And this is where you get to reclaim who you are. And this is where we get healthier. This is where your kids get closer to you, and they heal, and then they don't perpetuate the pattern. All right, sweetie? Does that make sense for you, hon?
That's beautiful.
Nice
I
job.
couldn't ask for more.
How are you feeling as we end here?
Um, Vibrant, very vibrant, very expansive.
Yep.
Lots of energy flowing. Yeah.
Yes. So very beautiful. Nice job. Very nice.
Thank
We'll
you.
go on to Kira.
Hi, Masati.
Hey, hon, how are you?
I'm doing well. I felt
Uh,
really called to be here today, so I'm so grateful and excited to be with you.
I'm so glad you're here, hon. Anything specific that you want to work on, like really feeling your body?
Definitely. I feel like my mom made me always feel chaotic and held hostage, and I do have trouble feeling into my body.
Yeah. Take a breath in, sweetie. All right. So notice your lungs or your heart. Did your father have lung or heart issues, or who's that?
A closed heart, maybe.
Closed heart?
Cold, very cold. That
Okay.
like no
Okay.
hugs. I
Okay.
don't know.
Got it. Okay. I just want to make sure there's no physicalness, because you don't want to carry that over. Breath in. All right. So there's a lot of okay, so let's get back to your mom here. So your mom, uh, your mom she criticized you, basically, to a point. Um, okay, so a couple things going on. Your father comes in as well. So sometimes we don't know the real story because your mom might tell you something, your dad might tell you something else. Does that make sense for you? And then, and then that kid gets confused. Hence, you get confused, and it's like, shit. Where do I go? Who do I believe in? All right. And then you don't know who to believe in. Right. And then your mom feeds you some more stuff. And again, whether she's lying or not, that's not the point. The point is the underlying patterns. Right. For a kid, what happens when your mom doesn't resonate with your dad, basically, and they tell you different stories, you basically go into your head and you try to go, okay, now which one's real? And then this is where you get shut down, and this is where, again, beautiful woman, hon, but you feel very numb to the world. Your whole life you've been numb. Okay. I want to say around 17, 18. I don't know if that was your first romantic experience or something like that, to that effect, but it just felt very numb to you. Like, what's the big deal? Does that make sense? It's like you didn't go into that experience, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you didn't go into that experience going, wow, this is going to be great. I get to actually feel my freedom. This is basically, it's like, shit, you know what? Now I feel even less free. I feel more distorted. Does that make sense for you? You
Yeah,
didn't find not a good reason when you're that young to have a romantic encounter, by the way, is my point. So all you young people, guys, having intimacy and all that stuff, romance, if that's the purpose that you're doing it, it won't be beneficial for you. So understand why you do the things that you do. Again, especially if you're young, so you don't want to repeat your patterns, your parents' patterns, like you did. So then that's where you kind of got locked in. Okay. Did that make sense for you so far, hon?
yeah.
So
I mean, I'm always trying to protect myself. I always feel like
yeah,
my mom, I'm trying to like protect myself from her.
yep. So think of it this way, hon. She's cold-hearted or has no heart, right? Does that make sense to you?
She feels like a powerful soul to me because she just gets what she wants when she wants it. She's very forceful and very confusing. So I don't
Oh,
know.
but do you feel any love from her?
Oh, no love. No.
That's what I'm saying. She's cold. She gets what she wants. Yes. So manipulative, let's just say, and that's why I say the stories that she might have told you, probably some of it could be true, some of it, most of it, probably not. Even her identity of who she is not really accurate. She's a very scared woman or a very scared young girl on the inside. So
Mhm.
she's done is like very scared young woman on the inside. She has kids and so on. Now it's like shit. Now I can't run this pattern, so I'm gonna just create a facade. So basically, what she does, you said like she's very powerful. She gets what she wants. Yes, she does because she has to dominate or she has to create this identity. Because if she starts to remember who she is, she'll break down. So she's always like forcing this person upon her kids, husband, anybody else. Okay. So back to you. Take a breath in. It distorts you because you see the real person, you see the real woman behind that. And it confuses you. It's like, well, is she powerful or is she weak? And it disorients you. Does that make sense to you? You go into your head trying to figure it out or trying to stabilize yourself. This is where spatial referencing again helps you. So I would suggest really spatial referencing, hon. If you're familiar with that. Are you familiar with spatial referencing? Okay. And again, we teach that on a human upgrade coming up. Take a breath in. All right, so let's separate you and your mom. So although you're opposite of your mom, you'll get the same end result. Your heart, since you're in your brain, you don't feel anything. She doesn't feel anything. Again, very different scenarios, but same end result, like I was explaining earlier. Breath in again, notice your heart space, and just notice, experience a flower in your chest area, hon, just blossoming. How does that feel?
More peaceful.
Yeah, it's very nice because you've never been in peace. So you're always like hypersensitive or like jittery, so to speak.
Like
Again,
unsettled is how I would explain it.
yep,
Always unsettled.
unsettled. When I see you, you're like your frequencies are like moving back and forth all the time like this. It's like which way do I
Mm,
go? Which way do I go? Back in the day,
yeah.
probably you know, you try to escape for safety. It's like, God, do I go in this room to keep safe? Nope, this isn't working. Oh, I'll go in this room. Nope, this isn't working. So you'd go all over the place, literally. So take a breath in again. Sorry, we're just pulling you back in uh, with you as you step into your body again. That's what I'm helping you with. Okay. As you step into your body, so notice again, notice your brain and then take a breath in and notice that flower uh, blossoming. Okay. How does that feel for you? How's that visual?
It's a large flower.
Beautiful. Okay. So the visuals, XI visuals are different. It's not a goal setting. XI visuals actually um, it's a gauge on how well the frequencies will hold on to you. So you're seeing it clearly. You're seeing it more definite. You're seeing that it's a very large flower. That's actually your heart space opening up for you as you step into your body. Okay? Um, you feel a lot doesn't she feel a lot calmer? She feels like she's actually here. This is the problem with people that run your patterns. You're very loving, you're very sweet, again, beautiful. But what happens is when people meet you, hon, they'll look at you and it's like, oh, she's cold. She has no feeling. And it's like, gosh, I've got more feeling than anybody. But you'll never be able to show it because it's like literally your mom basically imprisoned. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also am a wife and a mother. And so
So
that's
think of it,
difficult.
yeah. So Kira, think of it this way. You're a mom, okay? You're a mom, and then you can't extend that out because your kids, like I just said, you know, when people pick up on you, it's like you're so reserved because you're not in your body, you're not in your head. You're always in your head. You're especially one of your kids, the younger ones.
I only have one little girl.
Okay, so that younger one. I actually see two. Oh, you might have missed a pregnancy or something like that, or lost a one. From oh yeah, yeah. Anyway, you might have lost one, maybe. I don't know. I could be off. But take a breath in. Huh? So that younger one, she looks at you and it's like, gosh, I wonder where mom is. I'd love to help her. I'd love to connect with her. So I'd love to have her be here where I can actually feel her. Just the same way your mom. So you keep repeating those patterns in a different for a different reason, but again, the same patterns. So breath in. Huh. This is where actually like your daughter will look at you and it's like, mom has arrived. She's home. She might even point to your chest, like there's something happening there. She'll probably seeing the frequencies of that flower growing inside you. So pay attention to that flower. It'll tell you, um, it'll tell you which way you're expanding. So sometimes that flower will get shrink down. Okay, start to understand why it's shrinking. Right? And ask yourself, it's like, why is this flower shrinking? Because it's a gauge for you now. Well, if it's shrinking, then there's patterns that you need to release and go, okay, what patterns do I need to release? What patterns do I need to release so this flower can blossom again? Okay. So you want to keep that flower in your chest, in your rib area, healthy environment,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. I just want to be able to love other people in my life the way they deserve to be loved.
Exactly. So I'm giving you a cognitive visual that actually works for you. So you're in
Yeah.
your head for the right reason, and you're acknowledging your body, how your body's doing it. So you're not leaving your body. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
How are you
Thank
feeling?
you. Warm,
Good.
calmer.
Well, you're in your body, so embrace yourself. Love your go give your daughter a hug, and she'll actually feel like you'll actually feel her for the first time. Even your husband, you'll actually feel that connection. It's like you're finally there for them, which is really beautiful. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So welcome to it. Nice job. All right. I think that's it, if I'm not mistaken, right? Beautiful, beautiful sessions, guys. If I do say so myself, there's so many people. Again, this world is changing so dynamically. The key is though, you need to know how to change. You need to know how to process the change. A lot of individuals, they'll do the things of the past. You got to do something different to get a different benefit for you. Again, this is where exponential intelligence, self-improvement and all that stuff is great, but you need to become exponentially intelligent to transform, right? To massively transform, not just for you, but your family and then the world. All right. All right, so the way to do that, again, guys, human upgrade coming up June 5th, I believe. I think the team put on, let me just check the calendar for you, guys. Yeah, there's a Mother's Day special still, healing mother's wounds for you. And did you notice in this session, guys, a lot of those mothers were just misunderstood. Simple as that, right? And then unfortunately, we turn into, or those people, they would have turned into their mothers. It's like, what the hell happened? So again, you don't want to repeat the patterns. It's not evolution. Human upgrade coming up for you, Mother's Day special, and also private sessions because I'll be in Barcelona for a while, guys. Barcelona coming up. I'm not going to be doing private sessions for a bit, so that's open. I've opened up more times for you, so take a look at that. Really fantastic. Um, and, the 15 minutes that you're with me, it's more than 15 minutes, especially reflection session. You're with me for about an hour and a half because we go work on, I think 8 or 9 people at a time in a group. You can learn a lot from it. But when you're bathed in those frequencies for an hour and a half, it's very transformative. And this is where 15 minutes is literally decades of transformation. So it's very, very intense. So what you saw here is not as intense as we get into the reflections. And again, this is pretty intense. This is very transformative, but the private sessions, again, as we've opened them up for you all, it really is very transformative, very, very powerful. So if you really want to change your life, you want to schedule one. And then they disappear for some time. All right, let's get into reading all you all. We'll take just a few minutes to read you all. All I have to do is, well, there's so many comments, beautiful comments. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, somebody's talking about a groovy butterfly, the creative genius with the microdosing. So we're going to be doing psychedelic on how to do psychedelics, right? People are doing microdosing. People are getting into more psychedelics, to transform and shift. It's okay, but still, it's another tool that people don't know how to use properly. With XI, it will help you understand how to use it properly on that. And then the Buddha one was just a couple days ago, actually. So right? So that's still out there for you. You can listen to the replays for you. This one is a Vola Rad. Definitely need a scan of my mom. Yeah, so take a breath in. So actually what you're trying to do is, for you, and again, comment in if I read you, hon. For you, Vola, you used to run the pattern of your mom. You're separated, it seems like you were as a supporter of your mom, although you didn't like supporting her. It's like you had to, right? And now you're at a point with becoming exponentially intelligent, where it's like, shit, you know what? I don't need to support my mom anymore, but your identity is a support person. So now you're actually even leaving that, which is really quite beautiful, hon. So take a breath in, Paula, and we'll start you out. And again, a private session will help you even further, but let's just, start that process for you of separation. So where you are, Vola, is like, gosh, you know what? I don't need to be a support person for people to identify who I am. Right? You can still support people, but not destroy yourself by supporting them. And you're looking at your mom. It's like, gosh, mom, Moss, can you just scan my mom? Because I'm not going to support her. Somebody else needs to take care of her. Yes. So again, physically, it's about, you could support her. There's nothing wrong with that. But frequency wise, you don't want her to come onto you, especially as they age. So take a breath in again. So in this case, physically, your identity is of you now. Congratulations. Now we'll just move your mom over so she can support herself frequency wise. Okay. This is what happens when people age, when people get older, your parents get older, and then you've been taking care of them, they die. And then coincidentally, people go, gosh, about 2 years later, I just turned into my mom or dad. This is the reason why, frequency wise. You don't have to do that. Okay. Not with XI. Um, This is Julia Hawks. Hi, Moss. Would you please scan me after a huge shift in my life? Yes. So again, a huge shift in your life. What I actually saw in you was there was a complete separation of who you are, right? There, you were entangled with something that wasn't you. Imagine that you had like a big scab on you, right? Again, you over your life, it's like shit, that's me, that big scab. And all of a sudden you realize it's like, and it feels like a scab. And all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, the scab is not supposed to be here, right? You always thought it was part of you. It's like having a third arm and going, oh, that third arm is normal. Again, but it's like a scab where in that situation, you literally picked it off, right? With XI, you did a great job. You isolated all the things that you were not. You put it in that space, that scab, and at one point you go, I can just flick the scab off, right? When a scab is ready to peel itself off, that's basically where you were, and that's where that huge change. So one, let's heal that portion of the skin. So isolate it so you don't perpetuate the same pattern again, because you've done a great job cleaning up with XI. Take a breath in again, hon. All right. There we go. Another breath in. So in this case, what you're doing, what you have to do is you'll go into the world, you'll experience some of the old patterns, right, or old situations, and then you'll go, oh, I remember this situation that I'm getting into. It reminds me of the situation that I got into this last time. So if you got into that same situation, don't do the same thing or don't get into that situation at all. I can't help you with that. That's a cognitive deal, and it's against free will for me to lock you into this space where you don't have no choice. So this way, you make choices. Again, for you, the way you run your patterns, you'll re-experience old patterns, and then this time make a different choice. Simple as that. Okay, honey, and then you're good to go. Somebody's talking a private session. Yep. Again, we've opened them up for you all. Please help me disconnect from my mom's pattern. This is Nilo Bear. You've done a great job actually disconnecting from the pattern, but the key now, hon, is that again, you've done an FXI, but you kind of cycle around because understanding who you are should have happened by the time you're 7. But again, with mothers, and again, we're just talking about mothers. We'll do Father's Day, by the way. Same thing with fathers. So in this case, with your mom, what'll happen is that since her identity is your identity, basically, and now you're older, you remove that pattern. XI helps you remove that pattern, and then it's like, well, I don't know who I am. Kind of like you're kind of empty, and then what you do is you cycle back and then pick up some of your old, your mom's pattern. That basically is your old patterns. So in this case, don't go back to your old patterns. Don't go back to your old emotions, and just be an observer. Be an observer of the old self and the new self. Even if you're empty, you wanted a clean slate. You got a clean slate. So why mess it up? So in this case, it's like, who the hell am I? Who do I want to be? This is where you look at people and you go, oh, I like the way they dress. So pick the way they dress and then hold on to them, right? And this is where you identify who you are. So again, you're a clean slate, Nilo Bear. Just don't go back to your old patterns. There's so many other patterns you can choose from. Simple as that. Okay. This one, Donna Mossy, you're looking younger and younger. Thank you so much. Well, so XI frequency is really transformational. Love of a great woman, Bebe. Again, she's doing the XI women, helping women really get strong. Faye, Emmy coming into her own, again, becoming a beautifully young woman. She's only 22, but she's morphing into, when you're around 25, that's where women really can blossom and identify who they are. But most women, no offense, they fuck it up. They mess it up, and then in that 25-year-old, it solidifies their identities, and then they carry that burden on. Okay, so women kind of have like a midlife crisis at 25. Men are a little older; they have their midlife crisis at 32. The crisis part is like, it's like, oh shit, I'm turning into my old self or the family patterns. I need to let go of this. Most people don't know how to let go of it, and then they have a crisis. I don't know why I'm talking about that, but I think it resonates with you. But again, Emmy is going through that process of going, wow, okay, I can disconnect and be of that solid woman as she gets into her mid-20s there. So just read my daughter there. Anyway, this one, gold yellow, would appreciate a scan, please. Please, to patterns of my workplace and its authorities. Thank you. Well, hun, you're always looking. You're an identifier. You are that underdog. Take a breath in, hun. You identify with somebody oppressing you. When you get oppressed, or when you get pushed, or when you get limited, this is where your expansiveness, your creativity, your solution, your problem solving works really well. So basically, these are the people go, yeah, I work really well under pressure. Yes, but do you need that pressure all the time? Because as you age, or as you become more and more successful, you basically have to have more and more pressure put upon you to instigate that creativity. Now, a lot of people go, I can't handle I need more pressure. They get more pressure, but then they use psychedelics and whatever to release the pressure that they wanted to recreate so they can get creative. It's not a good use of psychedelics, by the way. Again, that's why we're doing the psychedelic experience, right? It's called Mindscape. It's really quite beautiful, by the way. So for you, you don't need oppression to create who you are. By the way, this could be like like the European or Jewish type patterns, right? Some people being Jewish, you don't have to be. You could be French or whatever. Um, those people got oppressed. They understood what life was about. It's an unfortunate event, but they go, oh shit, I really understand what life is about. So in their genetic makeup over time, the offspring of those individuals, they have to be oppressed at some level to push them forward to be very great people. And this is getting into the Jewish culture. This is where a lot of Jewish individuals, they're highly successful, they're highly motivated, they accomplish a lot of things. Okay, they get to understand, but then they don't get to experience, or they don't get to appreciate the culture or the pressure that's put upon them to become really great. Right. So you want to remove that pressure, and then be solid on your own. Gosh, that could just be a talk on its own, by the way. Do you see how cultural patterns just perpetuate that? And then the governments, they perpetuate it even more because they know. That's why the Jewish scenario, or what happened with Hitler, is always perpetual. They want to keep that because they want to keep you in control. So it's up to you to master who you are. We'll take one more individual. All right. So am I on the right path? So many coming. I keep second guessing myself after disconnecting myself from my mother. This is Silvano, Psvillanelle. I'm sure it's a beautiful name, if I pronounce properly. So yeah, so in this case, again, you keep second guessing yourself. You've been so controlled, or whatever you've done in the past, they've always been a filter. Your mom has told you what to do, how to think, how to act, how to dress so many times that your mom's filter, even when she's not there, literally runs and dictates your life. Okay. So in this case, you've done a great job. I'll just call you Silvana. Okay. You've done a great job on disconnecting from that. but that filter's been removed. Now you don't know who to think. So you start second guessing your own self. So don't second guess yourself, even if you're wrong, just continue on. Okay. This is about not collaboration, calibration. This is about calibrating who you are. So you're going to make mistakes. It's like, oop, that's not me. That's my mom's pattern. So then you center yourself. And then you go, oh, this is so-and-so's pattern, because you copy not just your mom, but other people's patterns. You go, oh, this is so-and-so's pattern. So always define whatever you're doing. Are you doing it? This is a perfect question where at the level of XI that you are at, this is where you go, gosh, is this my pattern that I'm running? Okay. Or is it somebody else's pattern that's filtering through me? So no matter what experience that you're going through, no matter what decision that you're going through, you want to ask yourself that question, hon. And as you do, you go, oh, okay, this is my pattern. I want to go on with it. Or you go, it's their pattern, but I like their pattern. It's like, okay, if you like their pattern, if you like the results of what that pattern is giving you, then you go, I like that pattern, but I just want their pattern, not the whole being. Right? You're a great copier. This allows you to create success faster if you know how to do it. Okay. And then you just copy other people's patterns, but not their whole identity and not all their bullshit along with it. So you're in a great place. All right, guys, we could move on. We could do this all day long, scan you all, but obviously we've got other things to do. All right, guys, so notice what you notice. Join us next week. Tell your friends about this. By the way, subscribe to this channel. Please like this channel, comment in, not just on the chat, but the actual comments under. So, so YouTube picks it up, and also subscribe to the new channel, the XI Code. Okay, that way you get the science behind what we do here at XI Science. All right, guys, peace. Notice what you notice.